I was finishing up with a client and I was DMing you to let you know. I was like, give me just a couple minutes. I'm almost done. Hi,
Okay,
everyone.
it's not a
Yeah.
problem. I just thought that maybe you have a problem with connection, or maybe you just forget about me.
No, no, I would never, never forget about my commitments. Don't worry about that. What is your name? Because I can see here Siez, but
Yes,
I can't.
it's in Polish language, so I'm not going to nourish yourself. It's like a nick, you know. But my name is Justine, so
Justin.
nice to meet you.
Justine.
And I already introduced you to my audience, Dr. Sarah Zaldivar. Is it correct?
Perfect.
Okay, I already tell about a little bit about your story, but I'm really curious when it starts. I mean, because I know that you had a lot of symptoms, a lot of problems with your health, and I just wanted to know if this started in early childhood or
Mhm.
later. How was it going?
Definitely started very young. At around puberty, I think, is when I started really, it was a comment that a classmate of mine said that, oh, you're fat, like very casually. And I wasn't like that overweight, but I wasn't definitely not skinny the way the other girls were in my class. And so that was when I really started focusing a lot on diets, the binge eating, the binge restrict cycles, tried everything. That was when like the obsession began. And after that happened for a few years, I remember begging like my mom to take me to a dietitian when I was like 14 years old, and that's when they were still working with the food guide pyramid, all the carbs. We never ate as much carbs before we saw the dietitian, and
Okay.
after we saw her, my mom changed the way she cooked, and now all of a sudden it's like pasta bowls, and I mean it was just insane. And so we started eating more carbohydrates and the cravings got worse. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. I started actually gaining weight. In my last year of school, I was feeling so uncomfortable. I didn't even go to like the graduation ceremonies and stuff, just like the mere basic stuff that I had to go to. And so, yeah, I started very young age. And then also acne. I struggled a lot with acne. That was like the first time I started losing respect and belief for traditional mainstream, the medical system, because I would see all these dermatologists and they had no clue. They were like, okay, we'll take Accutane. I did Accutane twice, birth control pills. I did spironolactone for 2 years, antibiotics for months, everything, all the potions, and nothing worked except the diet change. And it's like, this is how you start losing respect for these institutions and you realize they have no idea what they're talking about.
Yes, that's true. I had maybe not the same story because I didn't have a problems with my weight, but I had a lot of problems with my head, a lot of issues, and mostly neurological. And finally, after a mass diagnosis, I found that I have Lyme disease, and its connection with MS as well. And I
Yeah.
also, I didn't believe in this kind of system. I mean, medical system, because I'm
Mhm.
not blame them, because it's not like that I'm in grief, but it's like that we are not able to heal if we take so much pills, so much drugs, and we are not
Yeah.
going to be better and better. And I think that most important thing is to understand that every issue is from our gut. So when did you? I would like to ask you. So when
Yeah.
did you decide to go to study nutrition?
At 18, I wanted to become a journalist, but at the same time, I was like, they were telling me, I don't know if you're gonna get a job doing that. You gotta have a focus, and so I was also always struggling with my weight. So I figured remember having the thought like, if I become a dietitian, there are no dietitians that are overweight, right? That was like my 17, 18-year-old brain. That's what I was thinking. And that's why I did my bachelor's in nutrition and dietetics, did my master's, the whole year internship after that, you know, and then you sit for like a board exams to become a licensed dietitian, did all that. And then, you know, so very young age, really always been very focused on this issue. You know, I'm going to turn on the light. I'm here and I can hear you. Just one
Yeah,
second. It's too
okay,
dark.
no
Yeah.
problem.
Okay, I can hear you. Yes. Very good.
Super. I would like to ask, so when you study, did you also have this kind of, you know, pyramid of grains, carbohydrates,
Absolutely.
or okay, so it's
Absolutely. They only tell you, they just teach you what the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics teaches you, which used to be the food guide pyramid, and then they changed the graphics a little bit, and then it became my pyramid, which is what I was being taught, and then it changed into the my plate, which is the same exact thing. They're just changing the graphics, you know. They are in bed with the food companies. I mean, the same dietitians that are heading the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics are the same ones that are also in very high positions and on the board of all of these food companies. I mean, they are one and the same, you know, so you cannot expect to get any type of quality health information from an institution like the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, unfortunately.
yes, I think that the same situation is in Poland, and everybody, maybe not everybody, but mostly people started to figure this out, and they think, okay, so
Yeah.
maybe it's not good to eat what they want us to eat. So what happened that you change your mindset? I mean, your thinking, and you switch to carnivore, or it wasn't carnivore at the beginning?
No, at the beginning it was keto. So after I did, you know, the whole training, I grew up in Lebanon and I did all of my training in Lebanon. And then literally within a month of finishing my master's and all of that stuff, I hopped on a plane and I came on a one-way ticket to Miami, to the University of Miami, and I did my PhD, my doctorate at UM was in exercise physiology and nutrition. And when I first came here, because I changed the focus a little bit away from nutrition, because it was, if I were to pursue a PhD in nutrition, it would have been literally repeating the same classes that I took in my master's, you know, so there's no way I was going to do that. So I wanted to challenge myself to grow, and I chose the exercise physiology and nutrition track. And so it was very overwhelming that first semester. I mean, I came here, I didn't know anybody, you know, no friend, no family member, like no one. I had $2,000 that my mom gave me. She paid for the plane ticket and she gave me $2,000, and she's like, that's gonna last you the first month rent and then you figure it out. And so it was overwhelming from that area. And it was also overwhelming from the fact that I was learning new concepts in exercise physiology literally on a Tuesday, and I had to teach them to students that were not that much younger than me. I mean, I was 25. There were a lot of them, some were 25, some were older, you know, like, so I had to teach them what I was learning on Tuesday and I teach it on Thursday. So the whole public speaking experience, I didn't have it yet. And so it was very stressful. Anxiety was through the roof, you know, and so that pushed me to, I guess, coming from a nutrition background, the first thing that comes to mind, okay, what diet is best for anxiety? And that's how I came across Dr. David Perlmutter. And, you know, I learned about the ketogenic diet, and that's how I started, you know, doing keto. And then after 7 days of a ketogenic diet, like, I felt like my brain came back online. Like, I didn't even realize I had brain fog until it went away, you know? And so that's when, you know, I was sold, basically. And did keto and realized, oh wait, also for body composition it is very helpful. And eventually, but the sugar addiction was still there. So it took me a while, you know. I still had the binges and keto treats. If you go back to my YouTube channel, you can still see not that long ago, you know, me preparing keto treats and shooting them, because I was trying to figure out any which way I can to kind of feed that addiction, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a while until I finally discovered carnivore.
Yeah, it was actually my next question, because I wanted to ask you, how was the transformation to ketogenic diet? Because I know that for many people, and when they are addicted with sugar and they can't stop. So do you have any tips for them? I mean, for example, I know that you start with keto, so fat bombs or some kind of dessert. Yes, it was like that.
Yeah, so my dissertation, actually, my whole like 5 years of working on my dissertation and then defending it, all of that was focused on addiction. It was focused on sugar addiction specifically, and exercise, given that my PhD was in exercise. So I had to have an element of exercise in the dissertation, you know, study design. So my whole focus is really all about addiction. And now also with my work with my group coaching and my one-on-one coaching clients, it's like, that's what it's all about. It's all about the fact that everybody's addicted. And even if they go on a carnivore diet, there are very specific things you need to do to fix addiction and fix the root cause of addiction. And just going on a carnivore diet isn't going to fix it overnight, you know? And so I talk a lot with my coaching, with my content. My whole focus is on addiction and how you need to repair the brain damage that happened from years of addiction. Whether it's food or any other kind of drug addiction, it's all the same. It destroys the dopamine centers in your brain. So it's not always enough to be food sober, because the carnivore diet is a food sober plan. There's nothing addictive on that plan unless you're going crazy with the cheese, you know? So it is a food sober meal plan, but it's not enough to give you a food sober meal plan if your brain has accumulated dopamine damage over years of destroying it with all of those addictive foods, right? And so you need to build those dopamine centers in the brain as quickly as humanly possible, because that's going to be your lifesaver. That's the only thing that's really going to keep any relapses at bay. And if you do relapse, it won't be as bad as when it used to be, when it would spiral out of control and take away months of your progress. And you might be able now to relapse with like a tiny bit, maybe a 500 calorie off meal plan thing, but now you rebound a lot faster because you don't have as much of a dopamine deficit in your brain the way you used to have when you first started. You know, as you close the gap with the dopamine deficit, and you close the gap by training hard, that's my favorite method of using that. As you close the gap and then you raise dopamine maybe even higher than your baseline, you're bulletproof. There is no such thing as a craving or anything that can tempt you anymore.
Yeah, but what about people who are not able to exercise, who are, for example, with Parkinson, with MS, how could you...
Actually, Parkinson's, there's a lot of studies specifically for Parkinson's disease. One of the best ways, even better than drugs for Parkinson's, is exercise. We used to train them in our lab at the University of Miami too, because Parkinson's is destruction to the dopamine centers in your brain. And so when you train them, you regenerate the dopamine. They actually improve. So you can totally do that. With multiple sclerosis, it depends on what amount of, like, what degree of disability you have so far. So if it's like you don't have use of a certain, maybe your legs, then you still have the functioning of your upper body. Any amount of movement is going to help, and hopefully with a carnivore diet we can reverse it, and it's been reversed in so many people. We just hope that those universities bother to study our species-specific diet and how it can actually reverse autoimmune diseases.
So just a little bit of privacy. I mean, because I have a patient with Parkinson, and I'm just wondering because she's taking levodopa. I don't know actually if the name in English, but it's
It's
just
levodopa in
yeah,
English as well. Yeah,
as
it's
well. So
dopamine,
it's
basically.
dopamine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and could you please help me? I know that maybe it's not political question, but is it possible to change the dosage of this medicine? I mean, because it is really hard to stop, you know. And I was wondering, how is it possible to help this kind of patient?
Yeah, so the problem with levodopa is that you're just putting kind of like a band-aid over the problem, right? Just dumping dopamine as opposed to
Yeah.
resetting the dopamine baseline, right? What I care more about is rehabilitating the brain. It's not just about getting some dopamine, because I can go shopping for a couple hours right now and I'm going to release dopamine doing that, right? I care more about resetting my dopamine baseline. And that means not only increasing how much dopamine I'm releasing naturally, but also how much dopamine receptors, called D2 receptors, I have on the surface of my brain cells. Because you need both. You need to have dopamine release, and it needs to attach to its receptors on the cell surface of adjacent brain cells. It's that when that connection happens, it's like a lock and key situation. That's when you get the benefits of dopamine, right? And so the goal with your clients, with the addiction clients that I see, and by the way, a lot of them don't even they don't even realize they're addiction clients. You know, I just work with them knowing that what the state they're in, but you know, it takes a while for people to get out of the denial and understand how much of an addiction this really is, right? So the goal in both situations is to upregulate how much dopamine receptors we have, how much D2 receptors we have. And that only happens when you train hard or you do things like cold plunges or meditation. I don't like all the other, I'm sure they work. Any sensation of discomfort or pain is gonna push the brain to upregulate its D2 receptors. However, I find that exercise is very powerful because it's not just mental discomfort, like meditation is just mental discomfort triggering D2 upregulation, but with exercise you have both the mental and the physical. It's both. And so I think that that's a much more preferable way to upregulate the D2 receptors of that patient, plus understanding if maybe, you know, they're at a stage where we can do the reversal, because there are a lot of people who've been able to reverse those kinds of conditions by doing a strict lion diet, eliminating, you know, things like dairy, eliminating any other potential eggs could be a trigger, you know, in terms of autoimmune conditions on a carnivore diet.
Okay. She's actually in therapeutic ketosis, so it's the, you know, she's with the diet, she's very on a very good level. But thank you for your tip with this exercise. I know that she's trying to do this, and it's not like that she's very focused, you know, so it's not like a patient who is doing nothing. But thank you anyway. I contact you after our live. But you've told us about my favorite topic, actually, because it was about calories, and I would like to ask about it because many people want to count calories. How much calories do I have to eat? Why? You know what I mean. So should I eat? Is it enough, or it's not enough? So could you please explain how it works on carnivore?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people who like to talk about, you know, calories. Like, no, calories matter. They matter very much. We all need to be very aware about the amount of calories that are found in different foods, you know, because you can do oxtail and not understand just how many extra calories you're having from that. Or you can do multiple ribeyes. Like, it's very easy to overeat calories. Most people vastly underestimate the amount of calories they're eating, and they vastly overestimate how many calories they're burning via exercise or basal metabolism and all those things. So actually, It's so funny you said that because I did like a whole lecture in my group coaching session, I think on Sunday. I've had, you know, clients who really wanted me to dive deep into how I create the caloric meal plans for my clients. So I showed them like which equation I use and, you know, all the stuff. So I mean, I could go into that if you want. It did take us an hour for me to cover exactly my whole methodology of knowing exactly how many calories, you know, any person is going to burn, and also depending on their goals, do we keep them at maintenance? Do we create a caloric deficit or not? I'm not a fan of, if we're bulking, I'm not a fan of putting on extra calories or gaining extra body fat. There's no amount of extra body fat on your cell that's going to turn into a muscle cell, you know? So, but yeah, calories do matter very much. The vast majority of my clients come to me after doing the challenges, the carnivore challenges, where it's like, eat as much as you want, don't worry, you know, and a lot of them gain a lot of weight. They gain a lot of weight just doing that. I just onboarded one new client, you know, she's doing great on carnivore for so many reasons, but she gained 20 pounds, you know, when she never had she never had a weight problem ever before, you know. Another client of mine did a challenge she did a challenge 2 months in a row and gained 40 pounds. She was tall, but still 40 pounds in 2 months is,
Really?
do you know what it takes? Yes, that's a lot to peel off, you know, but we did it. Thankfully, she's back, she's good. But you know, the vast majority of my clients, it's easier. It's an easier message to say, don't worry, just eat that. It's like, no, it's more than that. You actually have to create a caloric deficit, you know.
I have a different problem. I have clients who are not able to gain weight, you know, and it's like, you know, that I didn't have a client who has a problem with their weight on carnivore diet. So it's and actually you're right. I mean, for example, Sean Baker or Dr. Chafee, they are they said that it's not worth it to worry about calories. You can eat whatever you want. I think my opinion is that if you, for example, eat dairy, you can have some gaining weight, and that's the, I mean, maybe it's not the problem, because for some people can be beneficial, because some people are really underweight. So it depends on the person.
Yeah, so that's the thing is, sometimes if you haven't personally struggled with weight gain, you think it's a lot easier than what it actually is when you actually have, like, when you've actually had excess body fat on you and sugar addiction, all that stuff, and you've overcome that, you realize what it actually takes to do that. And then all of a sudden, it's not as simple as just eat meat. It's definitely not. Because again, like most of my clients, like, yeah, they do just meat, but then they don't realize a ribeye, this amount is 900 calories. You have two of those,
have
you're
a
at
problem
1800.
with gaining weight.
Say that
Even,
again?
for example, I mean, so if they eat this kind of ribeye or any other meat, do they really have a problem with gaining weight?
Yeah. Absolutely. A lot of people, you know, so for example, the client that I told you about gained 40 pounds in 2 months. She didn't realize that she was having a pack of beef bacon for breakfast. That was 1,000 calories, just that beef bacon, you know? And you can see in the comments, I gained 40 pounds carnivore. I mean, it's very common. It's actually the vast majority of people. Most people come to carnivore because they genetically are susceptible to weight gain, and that's why they're trying to do carnivore, right? And so the vast majority of people actually struggle to lose weight even on carnivore. It is easier, I think, because it gives you more food freedom and there's less addiction there. But you can, you know, people can get very creative trying out different recipes, and, you know, like the egg puddings with the half and half, and it becomes like 1,000-calorie little carnivore friendly snack. I mean, it's so easy. Sticks of butter is this thing that a lot of people got sucked into, unfortunately, and they gained a lot of weight with doing that. So Yeah, no, it's it's two things. Is you have to create a caloric deficit, and for a lot of people, they don't realize that they need to do that. And you also have to upregulate the dopamine and the D2 receptors in the brain, because you want to be able to heal the addiction so that you can actually stick to the meal plan. So it's like two things that we get after, and we focus on a lot.
Okay, so I have a question for you. What do you eat as a daily basis?
Oh, that's easy. It's not a lot of different stuff, Like, okay, so right now in my fridge I have a rotisserie chicken, ground beef, ground turkey burgers, eggs and bacon almost every day, or every other day there's eggs and bacon involved. Ribeye steaks, I have some in my freezer. I just bought a bag of shrimp because my mother-in-law was visiting for 2 weeks and she had all the shrimp, and I had some saying, why don't I get some more shrimp? It's good, a little different thing, So I'll be doing some shrimp soon. Garlic or butter, just a little bit. I'm not a fan of dairy. I don't have cheese in my fridge ever again,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be getting, next time I place an order for my groceries, I'm gonna order some smoked salmon. I want to do some of that with my eggs. Yeah, like that's pretty much it. And then if we rarely ever go out to restaurants, but if we do, it's usually, I like chicken breast in restaurants for some reason, because I can never get it to taste so good at home. It tastes so dry at
Yeah,
home. So when we
I don't
do go
like it.
out, I like for some reason to order the way that they make it, and I also will order ribeye steaks and things like that.
Okay, so and how many times during the day do you eat? I mean, do
Twice.
you have a plan that I'm going to eat, I have a window and I'm going to eat in this kind of window? No.
No, no, I rarely eat in the morning. I wake up and I run. I do my run first and foremost, and then I have a meal, which is usually like eggs and bacon. And then I go to the gym and I lift, and then I can work a little bit. And, it's usually really just 2 meals a day. There was a time where I would do 1 meal a day, but I wasn't training as hard. And I still was like I still wasn't fully aware of how important it was to fix the dopamine damage, which was why I was still having the cravings, and I was still in a vulnerable state in terms of sugar addiction. Once I figured it out, it's like nothing's going to change until you fix the dopamine receptors in your brain. And so once I went back to training at a high level the way that I used to, so it became really, really fast running, and really, training with the focus of raising how much weight I'm lifting, so really intense weightlifting as well. Then you need more nutrition, because your body needs more nutrition to build those muscles, have stronger bones, fix the dopamine. You need more nutrients to sustain that.
Yeah, that's true. I started when I started to ride a horse, I just found out that I need some more food because it consume energy.
Yeah,
So
a lot, a lot of
definitely
energy.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. You just so to go back and circle back, you said a lot of your clients struggle to gain body fat. Is that what it is?
Yes, I mean, mostly my clients have a problem with gain weight, I don't have, I have some of them that are trying to lose weight, but not many. Mostly they have a problem with gaining weight, I think that it is, I don't want to, I don't want to say it, but I think that in United States you have a different level of problem.
Up
I
the
mean,
chart.
yes, I don't want to be rude, but I think that in United States, or for example in United Kingdom, I saw these people, I mean, they are really, really big. And I think that in Poland, you know, we were a very poor country. We had a lot of problems with money, actually, because it's about money, that you don't have enough money, so you don't buy as much food as you want to buy, or you are not addicted, you know, as much as, I mean, in United States. And I think that it's not as a big problem yet as it is
Yeah.
in United States, for example. And I saw people in Poland, and they can be very, very big, you know, but it's not the same as you can see in US, you know, on
Yeah.
UK. And even I can see the problem of kids. I mean, when I was in UK, I saw very, very young kids. I don't know how was when because now I'm 44, and when I was a kid in Poland, it was like that we had, for example, one kid who was bigger than other. I mean,
Yeah.
and everybody said, "Oh, look at him," and it wasn't very nice. I know that, but it was only one kid, and now it's growing. I mean, this because people have much more money, you know, and they spend money for on food, and it's
Yeah.
this food is addictive. And I can see that it's not a problem only with one kid in a class, but it's mostly a problem of these kids and their parents as well. So I think that we are not at the same level yet as in United States, and
Right.
I hope that we are not going to be there, because we you
No,
know, we
no, you know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, it's okay. I just wanted to say that I hope that we are not going to finish as in United States, you know,
Yeah.
because
And just like you guys.
Poland is not so big, you know. It's not so big as so it's obvious that we are not going to be as huge country as you have. But I mean that I think that people started to focus on food, maybe not as much as I or you, but I think that it's growing, this kind of, you know, knowledge that we should do this.
You know, I wish, and I mean, I wanna be hopeful, and I wanna kind of hope that this doesn't happen in Poland the way we are at right now here with our obesity epidemic in both adults and children. But the food companies know that we are a little bit more aware of how addictive they are. And so they know that their time is limited, similar to how the tobacco companies, you know, we were, you know, on them eventually until they could not really be very comfortable, you know, advertising in the United States. So now their biggest market is other countries where they're still not as aware, you know. It's the same thing is happening with the processed food companies. And so now that's their kind of lifesaver. All the other countries where they're not focused on weight gain, they're focused on survival more so, and so it's going to be very easy to hook them with highly addictive foods. Sweet taste, when they've looked at studies in rats in 2017, and it showed that the sweet taste is far more addictive than heroin.
Okay.
Heroin. Isn't that
Yeah.
wild? So the rats, there is not one single addictive substance in rats that hasn't been shown to be just as addictive in humans, right? So rats always will prefer the sweet taste over cocaine. And now we also have data to show that they will prefer also the sweet taste over heroin. And by the way, it's not even a close call. It's like a very large margin of difference. So, you know, children aren't equipped to regulate a substance that's possibly more addictive, far more addictive than heroin, you know? And so it's a real issue. It is a real problem. I don't know. Yeah.
So please tell me, is it possible, because I know that you are a professor on the university.
Miami-Dade
Yeah.
College. Yeah.
And is it possible for you to teach your student about the
That's all I
diet?
teach them about.
So it is
Yeah.
possible. So you
Because they don't know. That's the only reason why. They don't know.
I'm
They're
very
just happy that all the students want to take my course. So I just broke the record on my reviews. So there's this website that all students go to. It's called ratemyprofessors.com. This is really where students pick and choose which courses to take. And it was like the maximum score you can get is a 5 out of 5. The other day I got a 5.1 over 5. Like I didn't even realize it's possible to break the record. So they keep increasing the limit on how many students I can have. It used to be you couldn't have more than 3 students per class, but everybody is on a wait list to join my class. So now they opened it up to like 35, 40. Now this semester, I have 50 students, and even with that, we had to do an override and add 2 more students.
so great.
So
I'm
they're
happy
happy.
that you are able to to push this kind of knowledge, because everybody, I mean, maybe not everybody, because we know that, for example, we can find a lot of doctors, a lot of people who are talking about ketosis, who are talking about carnivore and processed food, and how the sugar is addictive. But on the universities, it's not so easy to, because I know that I used to study on, I did some course on Harvard, and I can, it was about mitochondria. So for me, it was brilliant because I love mitochondria. But if you go on any kind of course which you can, for example, know something about nutrition, you can find that you can eat a lot of carbs and a lot of fruits, a lot of, mostly, and vegetarian diet. It's really, really healthy. So that's my next question. What do you think about vegetarian and vegan diet?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's like a fast track to nutrient deficiencies and autoimmune diseases, basically, right? I mean, we are not, we are a carnivore species, right? We evolved eating a carnivore diet for 99.99% of our existence as a species here on Earth. We evolved during a climate where, for the most part, it was an ice age. Literally, vegetation could not grow. It wasn't like a luscious tropical forest. It was impossible because we evolved during an ice age, right? And so the only thing that we could get access to were animals. And so we hunted large, fatty, woolly mammoths and large animals, and we subsisted in eating that for 99.99% of our existence as a species here on Earth. Then the climate changed, and or we overhunted the animals. Most likely both of these things happened, and they went extinct, all of our major food sources. So now we had a decision we needed to make. Are we going to starve to death, or are we going to adapt to a lesser food source, but that at least will still be alive and will survive? Obviously, we're smart. We chose to adapt, and we started the agricultural revolution, meaning we learned how to harvest grains and beans, and we started eating plants. Hence why we call it the agricultural revolution. So it saved us from extinction, basically, but we paid a very heavy price. This, by the way, this change in our diet only happened 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, which basically means only in the last 0.01% of our time as a species here on Earth. So it's very recent. If we look at evolution, this is like, we need way longer periods of time to adapt to a newer environmental change. So what happened? We paid a very heavy price with our health. So you dig up the skeletons of our hunter ancestors versus the plant-based ancestors. So like the Paleolithic versus the Neolithic, if you want to get technical. And you can see the skeletons from the Paleo era where we were carnivores. They were taller, the bones were denser, stronger, and they were much healthier. Our brains were bigger, and that led to a larger skull to accommodate a larger brain, and also led to a larger, wider jaws. And those wider jaws allowed enough room for all of our teeth. We actually had perfect teeth historically. The first time you start seeing misalignment of the teeth was with the agricultural revolution 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. So the moment we stopped eating a fully carnivorous diet, and started eating plants, you start seeing skeletons that had misalignment of the teeth. Not only that, you started seeing smaller skulls because our brain started shrinking again for the first time in history. We had smaller brains, smaller skulls, smaller jaws, and that's why not enough space for our teeth. Also weaker, shorter bones, more rickety and diseased. We were far more prone to disease in general.
Yes, and we started to go to the dentist.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, we unfortunately weren't lucky enough to wear braces. You just had to live your life, you know, back then, 10,000 years ago, just looking like that, you know, that we paid a heavy price once we stopped eating our species-specific diet, unfortunately.
Yes, that's true. Okay, last question.
Sure.
I know that many people on my channel, my audience, they struggle with a lot of symptoms. I mean, maybe they have the diagnosis, maybe they have some kind of, you know, many symptoms and they can't find what is going on. So I would like you, because you have a lot of students, a lot of patients as well. So please tell us something from your side. I mean, from your story, from your experience. What kind of symptoms and what kind of disease you can treat using diet? I know that I know that the question is very simple because everything, but please give us hope. I mean, because I know that people just need hope, you know.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions. Justine, is it possible me to, you know, because I have panic attack, or I have, for example, MS, or I have the cancer, and so on and so on. So you have a lot of questions about many specific, you know, diseases. I know that everything starts in the gut, but please tell us about your success stories.
Oh my gosh, so much. I mean, for cancer, I would encourage everybody to check out my interview with Dr. Thomas Seyfried and his work on the metabolic theory of cancer and just the amazing results he's getting. But just keep in mind that the only place that I would add to his methodology is elimination of plant foods on top of the ketogenic state that he is shooting for. There's that. Now, for everything else, I mean, I've had a carnivore pregnancy, a woman I worked with who spent thousands of dollars. She's in Canada, seen, you know, all of the specialists, multiple rounds of IVF, and we worked together literally in just 1 month. I set her up on a Lion diet plus weight loss. You gotta lose the weight because body fat is inflammatory. The woman sends me an email just like a month or a month and a half ago that just to let me know that she is 6 weeks pregnant after trying for 7 years, the past 7 years, you know, because she had a daughter. She just wanted to grow her family. We were getting close to 40. We wanted to be as focused with our approach as possible, and she finally got pregnant. You know, I've had 3 women so far, and just in the last few months, get out of menopause. I mean, those are women coming to me just to lose weight, and we're not even thinking. They're like, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm in menopause, it's been 2 years, and then it's like, guess what? I got my period back, and then the next month they get it back again. So reversal of aging is possible when you go back to your species-specific diet. So there is that, the weight loss, and we just celebrated, I have a client who just celebrated a 105-pound weight loss milestone. I mean, just amazing. He was trying weight loss diets, all the other kinds of diets, where you know, and this is where I kind of contradict myself a little bit, where, you know, the other diets were like counting calories, but because they were you know, quinoa, plants and all that stuff, he would create a caloric deficit and try to follow those traditional diets, and the weight wouldn't budge, even though he was at 424 pounds. You would think at that high weight, anything you do, you're going to drop weight, and he wasn't dropping. And so we did carnivore, and he's losing 25 pounds average every single month. We started in February, so it's only been 5 months. He's already down 105 pounds, by the way, with 0 exercise, because he cannot move his knees. Like, he can, you know, really terrible knee issues. So everything, skin clears up, anxiety, depression. Now the anxiety and the depression, you gotta train, you gotta fix that dopamine deficit. It's not enough to just go carnivore and expect, you know, although some people have reported just sticking to very, very strict lion diet has reported that it eliminated depression. If you try that and it doesn't work, you got to add in the, I doubt it's not going to work, but I think just adding exercise will always boost dopamine even more. I don't think we can get enough dopamine. And something I joke about a lot, the earth, I'm not really joking actually, but well, what I say is that the earth does not revolve around the sun. The earth revolves around dopamine. And so when you increase dopamine levels, everything you want to achieve, you can achieve it, right? You have mental clarity to think of solution and be creative. You have self-confidence. You have strength to set boundaries and eliminate toxic relationships or not accept any kind of relationship situation that is dragging you down. Mm-hmm. You have the strength to have the confrontation, right? You don't have depression. You don't have anxiety when you have high dopamine levels. You can sustain very high levels of stress. Remember, dopamine is also known as the anti-stress molecule. So when cortisol is high, dopamine is low, and when dopamine is high, cortisol is low. They can never be high at the same time. And so the higher the dopamine, the far more levels of stress that you can handle easy, no problem. So there is nothing in this world that does not require dopamine for you to be able to really, you know, get after your goals. It is the motivation molecule. It gives you the drive, the energy, everything. So, you know, every single thing you can think of, reversal of rheumatoid arthritis, lupus reversing. I've had clients literally who have reversed that with me on a carnivore diet. And they, by the way, they weren't even strict carnivores. Like it wasn't even lion diet only. Like we were just loose carnivores and still got the reversal happening, which is amazing to me. I can't, there's everything you can think of. If you bring it up, I'll remember. I've had a client, like everything, you know. Moni Yaski, sorry, Justine, how to increase dopamine. I prefer and I highly recommend exercise. The more intense your exercise, the higher your baseline level of dopamine, and that's the goal.
But I can say, you know, that because when I was really sick and I couldn't walk because I couldn't walk for 5 years, you know, and I remember that I read the story of Terry Walls. I actually had an interview a couple of days before with her, and I remember that things which she shared with everybody, that if you are not able to walk, if you are not able to do anything, I mean exercise, just you know, take your fingers and do something with your fingers, you know. And I did it. I mean, I thought, okay, so when I'm not able to go anywhere, I'm going to push myself in other way. And do you know, I started to brush myself. I mean, it was skin brushing, you know. My skin was really bad because in those days I was a vegetarian as well. So I know that the problem was deeper. But in those days, I started to brush my skin. And I know that it was the really big step for me. I mean, I started to feel better, and I think that it was because of, you know, the circulation of blood and lymph as well. And also when I was able to go to the toilet, I put on myself really cold water, but just for a second, you know. And it was also the dopamine was, you know, the level of dopamine was higher. And that's why I always I always tell people that you are able to do anything, because you don't need money actually. You can do it by yourself at your house, at your home, and you are able to increase the dopamine. So it was, you know, it was a good idea. And I think that if you are not able to go to run, to go to the gym, because I wasn't able to do this for many, many years.
Yeah.
And now I can see how my body is changing. I mean, you know, 2 years ago, I could go, for example, for skiing, but I was able to skiing, for example, for 1 hour, and I had to, you know, take a break. And now I can go and skiing all day, you know.
What is the biggest thing that you think you did to to heal your body?
I think that mostly it was the diet, because I started to change
Wow.
my diet for at the beginning I had a lot of problems with my digestion. You know, I could
Mhm.
digest almost anything. I mean, after water
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah.
problem, so I wasn't able to add any additional fat, because I didn't eat fat for many years. So you
Mm,
know, when because I found this book, Terry Wall's Protocol,
yeah.
and you know, I started to read it and I thought, okay, so it was when I was vegetarian for so many years, maybe I'm going to change it. So I would like to eat meat. I would like to, because I didn't eat gluten. I didn't eat processed food, you know. So it wasn't like that I eat a lot of processed food. I was really skinny. My weight was 34 kilos, you know. So I was
Whoa.
really skinny. I
And
couldn't
how tall are you?
one 1 and 64 point.
164 centimeters, 34 kilos. That's severely underweight.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I couldn't, you know, because I trying fasting. I was trying to, you know, water fasting. I was trying fasting with only millet, you know, because I was some kind of Chinese medicine, so I took a lot of
Yeah.
herbs, and you know, and I start to change my mindset. I mean, I was trying to change my diet to this kind of Terry Wall's protocol, but I couldn't eat vegetables,
Uh,
couldn't digest it, I couldn't eat meat, I couldn't eat fat,
you couldn't
so I started,
digest
no,
red meat.
no,
Okay.
so I started to eat kiwi. I mean, really, because I think now when I know what was going, that kiwi helped me to digest something, you
They
know,
have
because
enzymes
a
that
lot
they
of,
help
yes,
digestion.
enzymes.
Yes.
Also, the pineapple,
Yeah.
because you know, of enzymes. So I started to eat fruits, and when I started to eat fruits, I started to try put some meat, but it was a really bad situation, because I couldn't digest it. So it was really long story, long story short. So uh, carnivore, I'm now 1.5 year, but I tried also ketogenic diet, but I was maybe I wasn't, you know, addicted with sugar, but I remember myself that I was looking for dessert, you know, because I should eat some dessert, because I would like to, you know, and I
Right.
was struggle with this dessert. And I thought that if I'm on ketogenic diet, I could eat dessert. Why not? But when I'm on carnivore, I'm stable. I mean, I'm not craving so much, and
Mhm.
uh, I'm when I eat something, I'm, you know, I'm full, and I don't need to eat some, you know, snacks, because I used to snack, and it was like, okay, now I can eat something, or maybe nuts, you know, something which is maybe healthy or not healthy, but it was snacking
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And now I can see that I can eat one meal a day, or it depends, you know, what I'm doing. But when I'm riding, I have to eat more, because, you know, I need some more power. But mostly I eat 1 or 2 times a day. And
Lovely.
sometimes when I eat, for example, and now I don't even, you know, don't use any weight measure, because I don't need this. I don't know what is my weight now. And it doesn't
Lovely.
matter for me, actually. But I have a power. I can go. I can go for a bike riding, and I did 10 kilometers. You know, so
Wow.
I'm really happy.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. I'm so happy for it. Just I'm always happy when I hear success stories, but I'm so happy for you and being able to, I mean, most people would just give up. It's like, that's it. I can't move. You know, like that really chips away at you, and it's very hard to believe that you can go from being bedbound to being able to be so active. It's wild.
It's you know, it's really hard. It's really hard, and I can say that for me it was really really hard, and I was collapsed. I mean, I started, I stopped to believe that it's going to happen. I mean, I thought that I'm going to die. So I
Wow.
thought, okay, I have to accept it, you know. And
Yeah.
it wasn't like that, that I had a lot of power, you know. It's not that I'm so powerful, but it was really hard for me. And I don't like to remember that. But I remember because I have a clients who are struggle like me, and I think that they are coming to me because of that. I mean, they know that I'm going to, you know, just maybe not only help, but I can give them hope.
Absolutely. That's what I always tell my clients when they come to me and they're like in such bad shape that they don't even have the belief that they can pull up anything that we're gonna do, but they just, I don't know, for whatever reason they chose to reach out to me. And I always tell them, your struggle is your greatest advantage. And the more you struggle, the bigger then you can make it after you get over that hurdle. Now you can make it at an even bigger scale, because, for example, somebody who always struggled with their weight, lost the weight and maintained it, is going to be a far more powerful brand in terms of fitness compared to somebody else who's always lean and musculous, like genetics, and just a little bit of cleaning up of the diet and they're good. Who do you think is going to have a much bigger empire? Fitness brand, fitness empire, like, right? I mean, it's just common sense. And so you have to remember that when you're going through it, you have to remember that your struggle is your greatest advantage, and it's like almost a gift. I know you can't see it right now, but it really is the best thing that has ever happened to you.
Yes, that's true. I'm a dreamer, you know, so I always say that everything is possible, you know, and everything can happen, and we are not able to if we set something in our mind and
Yeah.
we know that it is going to happen, so it is going to happen. Because I remember I'm sitting in this room now, right now, and I remember this window, you know, and I wasn't able to go anywhere, and I thought how great it would be to go straight down the street, you know, and it was my aim to go just down the street and come back, you
Wow.
know, and now I can take my bike and go wherever I want. So I know that it is happen, you know. So
How long would you say it took you to restore activity and functionality?
years, many
Really?
years. And, you know, at the beginning, I start to go to the toilet. I can go, you know, just around home, and after that, I could go to my garden.
Right.
And but I was still very weak. I mean, I could, you know, I could stay somewhere. Even company with other people was very
Right.
yeah, it was very hard for me, you know, to talk with people and to speak with people, and it was really really challenging for me. So it took years, because I was sick since my childhood. I mean, it was a lot of symptoms, you know, and I think that I collapsed because it took so much time to figure out
Mhm.
what was going to happen with me, and nobody asked me before what did I eat, you know. So I didn't have any kind of diet, any kind of, you know, I've eat a lot of sugar, a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of flour, and a lot of dumplings and so on, you know. And when I was 20 24 I had a heart operation because my heart was beating so fast that I was you know, losing my consciousness. So you know, the story is really really long. So also my recovery is very long, because I think that it's not like that I think I'm not able to recover in 100%, but I still have some issues, you know. But I know how it is to feel bad. So for me now, it's very good, you know.
It's awesome. Yeah.
I'm happy every day, you know.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that with me.
It should be interview with you, not with me. So, but you asked me.
I can't help it when I hear it's so inspiring, you know. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so happy that you found, you know, you did it.
Yes, I'm happy too. I don't even think about it that it's happening, you know. But
Wow.
I'm so happy when I'm riding a horse. It is so it's such beautiful, you know. For I know that somebody can say, what is going on with her? She's crazy. But I am a little bit crazy, and that's why I'm crazy, because it's my second life, you know.
Yeah, I feel you. What do they say? There is a thin line between greatness and there's a thin line between being crazy and great or something like
Yeah,
that. It's true.
yeah, that's true. Anyway, thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge and sharing your story and your patience with us. I'm really grateful for this conversation. I'm going to put this conversation on my YouTube channel as well, and I'm going to share with you. So I know that you have a website. And it's also possible to reach you via email.
Yeah.
So please tell us how to, because I know that my audience is from whole of the world, so maybe they are able to reach you in United States.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing of working online. I mean, I have clients all over the world, Canada, Greece, everywhere, Dubai. So yeah, you can just email me at drsarahzaldivar@gmail.com. So it's DR, my first name and last name, Sarah with an H, Zaldivar@gmail.com. My website also, drsarahzaldivar.com, DRSARAH, Zaldivar.com. It's been somebody hacked it and we got it figured out. I sent them my ID, so it should be up any day now. I'm gonna try to get it
Yes,
up
I
to net
couldn't
today.
open it. You know, I couldn't open it last
I
time.
Well, it's yeah, it's been it's also kind of partly my fault because I was supposed to send them my ID and so 10 days passed and they closed the case automatically because my hosting provider was HostGator. Now I'm changing. I think I'm gonna go with Squarespace or something. So so yeah, they closed the case. I'm like, what? I'm waiting on them. They're like, oh, we closed the case. So then I sent them my ID and then it turns out my ID has been expired for like a year. I had to go to the DMV and update my driver's license. So all of that took time. It's been like a couple of weeks, I think, that my website has been down. But don't worry, they fixed it now. They're like, there's no more any issues. You should be able to have your website up. So I just have to change the password and it should be up. So there's that little debacle with my website. But other than that, you know, my Instagram, you can see it right
Yeah,
here
on
is Dr.
Instagram,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can everybody can reach you via Instagram. So I think I'm grateful for this interview, and I hope maybe to see you next time. So have a
Absolutely.
great day,
Yeah.
and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. Kisses, hugs, and we'll talk soon again. Bye.
Bye.